I will begin the meeting by reading the legal notice. As information for our audience, if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. We are going to modify today's agenda. We'll do approval of the minutes from the previous meeting when we have a quorum present, which should be in a few minutes. So we're going to bump down to number 3, public comment. There's no one who has signed up for public comment period. Am I correct? Okay. So we will go into our monthly informational reports, and we will begin with our campus partners. Ryan from Nashville Soccer Club.
Good morning, everyone. Ryan from Nashville Soccer Club. So our season's off and running. We've had good success on the pitch so far. The team has 4 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw. This past weekend, we defeated Minnesota, and then tomorrow night we'll host Inter Miami at Geodis Park as part of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. In other news, Japan men's national team has chosen our training facility as their home base for this summer's World Cup. And then in other stadium news, at the beginning of the March, we hosted the She Believes Cup and the U.S. women's national team, which was a fun day. It was a doubleheader. And then we recently announced July 25th, Geodis Park will host Liverpool and Sunderland for a Premier League friendly. So pending any questions, that's it for Nashville Soccer. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we will have Anthony with Track Enterprises.
Good morning, Commissioners. Things are going well at the racetrack as we are preparing to start our 2026 season. Just again want to thank the staff here at the Fairgrounds and the Expo, and Ryan and Ronnie and the team. We had a wonderful banquet celebration at the end of February, which was very well attended and had a lot of great support there. So thank you to the staff and team. Coming up, next couple dates we have our media day on March 21st. Opening night will take place on March 28th, and then previously announced new this year, we'll have the ZMAX Cars Tour race on April 11th. This past 2 weeks, we've announced a title partner for that race with Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, and then also the participation of Dale Earnhardt Jr., which has a lot of fans really excited, and we're expecting a pretty big crowd for that one as well. Last note I want to make, this past week we took some drivers in a race car over to Falls Hamilton Elementary here, and we had a great afternoon with the students there. It was really exciting to see the children's smiles, and they got to touch the car and everything. So it was a really good event. But other than that, we're getting ready for the year and appreciate everyone's support.
Thank you. I have a question. The condition of the track for the next season, and how did the season go, and do you guys see any more improvements or things that are needed ahead of next season?
Yeah, great question, Jasper. I think the condition of the overall racing surface is still very well intact. As far as a couple improvements, I've been working well with Ryan and Ronnie to check the lighting, the sound as well. But I think overall, just a little bit of support on a couple light bulbs, and then also some landscaping things around the billboards that have, I believe, in place. But other than that, I think everything's been pretty well.
And this may have been addressed in the last month's meeting that I wasn't here for, but I wanted to see if a concern had been addressed as to I think we had received complaints about noise while class was in session. There was a practice, I think, one day or something happened.
That would have been towards the end of last year, and that was addressed. We did have that conversation. It was just a little bit of a scheduling conflict on our end, so that was talked about and addressed.
And were there any fines or fees or anything paid? Like, I mean, I can't remember what the contract, it said something about, you know, what it said about violations of the such or.
To that, I don't know at the moment.
Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you. Thanks very much. Next, we will hear from our capital project update from John.
Good morning, everybody. My name's John Chaney. I'm with Collier Engineering. My apologies for not being here last month. I was out of town, but happy to be here today. I was here on Thursday doing some site observation over here on the Windgrove Project and noticed a lot of activity with the boats coming in and out, and talking to Laura this morning. Looks like it was a really good event for everybody over the weekend. So with regard to the capital projects, Comcast relocation coordination remains ongoing. There's one pole that's standing in the way of completion, and that's in the process of getting the utilities moved off that one pole. Piedmont gas tie-ins are nearing completion. Coordination continues in that effort with Metro Water Services regarding scheduling and required pre-construction meetings for water and sewer work. The public utility construction meeting kickoff was held last week. The sanitary sewer and traffic signal submittals remain under review. The mast arm is being fabricated will be fabricated following release of approval from NDOT. The retaining wall going up Windgrove, there's about 80 feet, maybe 100 feet of wall remaining. That should be poured out by the middle of next week, depending on weather. Road closure, traffic pattern, all of that's been approved and put in place. All the detoured signs and road closed signs are in place. And we have crews out there when the contractor is doing work, performing CEI oversight. As I mentioned, the phase one traffic control measures are in place and as far as I can tell, functioning as planned. Still coordinating with NDOT and Metro on those items. And talked to the contractor last week. They're going to update their construction schedule following the completion of the retaining wall. So we'll be getting an update schedule from the contractor here, probably a week and a half. Moving on to the multi-purpose lot number 2 improvements. Punch walk has been completed to confirm final site conditions, landscaping, overall project closeout. All that information has been sent to the contractor, the punch list items. They're working through those. As you may have noticed, the asphalt is complete. The boardwalk is complete. We're working on punch list items and closeout documents, as-built drawings, things of that nature. The 2 bioretention ponds are in place and functioning and are operational. There's temporary fencing around the boardwalk. It's not ready for final use. I'm going to install some handrails on that. The irrigation system was winterized several months ago. There were some minor repairs made back during the winter months. And as soon as we can get, now that we're here in spring, get some better weather, we'll open that up and go through that system and make sure it's functioning. The new portions of the irrigation system will be tested at that time. The landscape architect in our office noted a couple of plants that may have been impacted by the recent winter storm that we had several weeks ago. So we'll continue to watch those plants and take care of those as needed. There were some spoils, some soil from lot number 2 that were stored up on the R.C. Matthews lot, approximately 7,000 cubic yards. Bell is in the process of getting that moved off the lot. April 1st is the timeline for that. So now that the weather is better, they'll be able to focus on that and get that cleared off the lot. There were some surplus pavers that are currently being stored. Those haven't impacted the construction activities at all. Laura and the leadership here are coordinating the inventory of that and working through the disposal through the Metro surplus process. The Trailhead sign down here at the corner of Windgrove, we've got that sign designed. I'm going to get that to Laura in the next day or so with her final comments. We'll get those incorporated and then get that sign sent for fabrication and get that installed in the kiosk down there near the intersection of Windgrove and Nolensville Road. We'll continue to perform CEI oversight on the Windgrove project as it comes along. Follow up on the punch list items, and then the trailhead signage. So that's my report for the construction.
Thank you. You said you're going to go over wayfinding. Okay, because I did have a question about the wayfinding. Right.
Yeah, so you'll see on the last page of your little packet here on the capital projects, the wayfinding. We've been working on this for some time. We held off doing it initially with the construction of this building because we knew we had so much more infrastructure to do. So we really wanted to get a really good idea of where things were going to be so that we could get these signs done. So we have 18 vehicular and pedestrian signs. The vehicular ones at the bottom of the sign, it's 4 feet, so they're like 8-9 feet tall. They're all modular, so it's really nice. So if we would need, if something got hit, we could, take it from the footer. We can disconnect it from the I-beam. So they're all very modular and repairable, and hopefully at a lesser cost. All of the gate entries, so our perimeter wayfinding signage has the gate circle on them, so all of our gates will be numbered. Most of them correspond with access to lots of the same number, so that'll be helpful. And then the pedestrian signs are just shorter versions of the main sign without the gate indicator on it. And those will be throughout the campus. It'll direct people that are on the greenways. We've also included a walking distance, and what we have found is that when people park towards Lot 7 or in Fair Park, because they don't have necessarily a line of sight to the expo building, they think they're a lot further away than they are. So we also added a walking time on the greenways. We'll be adding in directions to get to the transit stop and all the things. So you'll see on each of the main trail entry points around campus, you'll see these wayfinding signs.
That's awesome, Laura. And 2 questions on that. Number one, You know I love a good beautification effort, so I'm down. That's awesome. I think that's going to be really helpful. Did you sync up the numbering with our tenants numbering? Like, is that going to be the same numbering that like soccer uses and like that we use for the racetrack? Like, is it all kind of the same?
It is all the same, and
Okay.
we've met with all of our park campus partners twice, at least twice on this project, and gotten their feedback on directionality and
Awesome.
such.
Awesome. You know, I'm all about thinking about the whole thing holistically. And then a related point, which is a little off topic, but I was going to mention it. Laura and I had a little, I emailed her about doing a little beautification on the lots because Market Street's not moving on sort of developing those two parcels in front of Geodis, the two big lots that they use for soccer. And so just asking if we could ask Dirk to do some beautification on that. I know you're working on that, so I just want to say that's great and mention that to Jasper, like, and just obviously make sure you're on board for that, but like kind of move some of those material out of the lots and maybe do a little like landscaping and stuff so it looks better because they're not going to move on those parcels now for like the foreseeable future. So.
I have a couple of questions now, but not for this particular part. But I was going to ask about the whole, like the lots 5 and 7 and all that, and so apparently I guess those are not going to change. There's no. Cause I was thinking about like are the signs going to be sort of in a way that you can easily change things if lot 5 now becomes a construction site, you know.
Luckily, yes. So they're vinyl, so that is one thing that we wanted to make sure is that it would be not overly cost prohibitive to change something if we need to. Yes.
Well, and what Dirk updated last month, and I mean, we're not going to have minutes, I don't think, but like basically he said the capital markets are just like they don't have capital, so they're sort of slowing those construction projects. I don't think they're planning to not do them or anything like that. That wasn't like the discussion. It was more just like, I was like, hey, when are you going to do your next project? And he was like, well, we're kind of on hold for right now. So I was like, well, we're on hold. Let's make it look nice since we're going to have these parking lots for a while.
Okay, cool. Well, John, thank you for your presentation. I don't think we have any questions for you, but it did bring up some other questions for the other parts.
I'll hang around after the meeting if anybody does.
All right, thank you. So no one from Market. All right, next up is Ed Henley. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'll give my spiel as I typically do that, you know, the numbers I'll be presenting this morning are about 45 to 60 days in arrears. But unlike my presentation last month where it had been a few months since I was before you, you all had a pretty significant movement in financials. I think it was just under $2 million that had been spent between the last time I presented to the board until the board meeting in February. Not so much exciting news this time because it's only been a few weeks since I've been before you, but I will give quick updates as far as I guess the first sheet that you'll see in your packets, the blue sheet, no movement there. On Fair Park, you'll see what you see as kind of a recurring expense most months, which is the extended warranty and maintenance period. I think we had a little bit of a discussion about that prior. And then on the infrastructure projects, again, you had a great level of detail from John. Since last month, it's been just about $300,000 of expenditures. Largely that's related to construction. You heard a lot of the activities that are taking place. But by and large, overall on the budget, we're about 41% out of our allocated funds, still tracking very well across each line item. And so nothing to raise any concerns about. And then obviously as we move forward, I'll make sure we continue to touch on some of those nuances between kind of stages and phases of the project as it ramps up.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you
very
all.
much. Next we will move into our division updates, and we will begin with our finance update from Centrise.
Hello. The Metro Charter mandates that certain activities be conducted on the property of the fairgrounds, which include a divisional fair, expo center events, flea markets, and auto racing. I will present financial information disclosing the revenues and expenses associated with with fulfilling said mandates. The financial information reported today is preliminary, as all revenues and expenses for February 2026 may not have been recorded to the ledgers, as the period has not officially closed. As of February 2026, we are 67% of the fiscal year has passed. We have earned $2.7 million. We have received an investment of $494,800. We have spent around $3.4 million, resulting in a difference of approximately $118,600. Depreciation expense is $930,500, so the adjusted variance for depreciation is roughly $1,049,000. Our annualized budget is we expect to collect $4.6 million in revenue, and we anticipate spending $5 million, leaving a variance of $355,100. For our revenue by line of business, we are comparing our year-to-date budget to our actuals. Overall, we have collected $167,500 over our year-to-date budget. I want to highlight a few lines of business, one being flea market. We are under budget by $30,000. 30%, I'm sorry. As mentioned last budget last board meeting, we had a revenue loss of $46,200. Also contributing to that 30% being under budget is $54,000 has not posted to the ledgers. For events, we are over budget by 3%. We've collected $35,985 over what we anticipated at this period. Moving on to expenses, we are slightly over budget for expenses by $49,300. However, we do expect to remain within budget for the fiscal year. Flea market, we are under budget by 16%, $39,700. And for events, we are over budget, $72,985, which is 22%. And that is due to our increase in other purchase services. We provide janitorial services and auxiliary rentals and security for some of our larger events. So that has increased our budget. We have made adjustments for that for this coming fiscal year. Our budget for that for this fiscal year, we kind of budgeted lower. We didn't know that we were going to have so many large events and they were going to need so much support. So we didn't budget for it, but coming in the next fiscal year, we have taken all that into consideration. So our budget will more align with our larger multi-day events that we're having. Also, with those services, they are recouped, so we do charge them back. For divisional fair, we are over budget by 26%. That is due to they spent half of the money at the very beginning of the year. And also we anticipated there being a shortfall there for overall for the year comparing revenue and expenses. So for our gain and loss section, this section is pretty much the same information as the top. However, it compares actual revenue earned versus expenses spent. And so for flea market, we are at a $126,990 in the good, which is 61%. And what that means is for every dollar we spend, we make 61 cents. For events, the difference there is a little over $1 million. We're at 246% there. For every dollar spent, we earn $2.46. And I will highlight fair. For fair, we have a difference of $309,300. So for every dollar spent at the fair, we lose about 28 cents. 28 cents for every dollar spent. For our other account, which is property tax proration, we have $943,102 in that account. And for our Asian report, we have approximately $58,100 in outstanding invoices, and all the promoters have been contacted and invoiced. Are there any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Hartley.
Two questions. Number one, Satrice, thank you so much. First question, I may not be mad at math. It's totally possible. That's why I went to law school. If we were talking about the overage related to the corporate sales, related to some sort of under budgeting the value of some of these services. My question is, like, we're passing that through and recouping it. So how are we in a negative position on those expenses? Because do we not pass through the full cost?
Well, we're recouping it in the revenue.
Okay, I got you. So it's showing in the revenue line, and then it's also showing the expense line.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. And then my next question is more of a thought starter. If we miss on the sort of is my understanding it that, like, we're sort of getting a fee schedule from outside the fairgrounds that we're then having to, that we under budgeted because the fee schedule we got was not what we expected for some of those shared services?
Well, it's not necessarily the fee schedule. It's we did not anticipate having to provide as much support.
Okay.
So we're having larger events, and they're needing more janitorial services, more ancillary rentals than we anticipated.
So we're seeing like an overage in the cost. We're also seeing probably an overage in the revenue because you're showing all that as a pass through.
Correct.
Okay, I got you. Okay, clear. Thank you. My other question was more for Laura, probably. You know, our property tax proration for capital. We have to use that for capital. It's like $1 million now. Like, what's the plan? Like, when does that start needing to be allocated in some way?
So
am I wrong
we
about
have the
that?
same. No, you are right. So we have a much better idea since the last board meeting of kind of what to expect, because I believe this last year was the first year that 445 Park Commons was open and full, and we got the complete assessment. So we have an idea right now of what we're going to be bringing in, and it was this 558. That's what we expect to bring in. That's the tax bill for those 3 parcels for this year. So now that we're kind of getting up again, we've got a list right now that we're working on of more of a short-term kind of cash capital, a medium term, and a long term. Long term being new HVAC in 15 years, new roof, medium maybe resealing, cleaning and resealing these floors. Lighting, big lighting replacements as those become obsolete. Some of the shorter term things that we're looking at is replacing some of our golf carts because they're so old, and getting some. So those are the kind of lists that we have. What I would like to do now that we're kind of getting a decent balance is we're going to have to just set aside some money, pretend it doesn't exist for those long-term expenses, and then bring a proposal to you guys to say, here's what we would like to spend out of that money today, and then have you guys consider some of those purchases. So just at least for this first year, so we understand like what you can understand what our priorities are, and then work through that process and see how it works for allocating that money to certain purchases. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but question. So we've already submitted our budget to the mayor's office, right, for this year.
We submitted operating, so
Operating,
capital
so it would
is
so it was no
different.
capital. Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Yes.
I did have a question though about the flea market revenue. Being that I think are we now about a year post rent relief, right? Are we seeing any more negative impact? You know, do you think that has had any, because we're no longer offering the rent relief
Right.
for people, are we seeing an uptick in the number of people, or is it still stagnant, or are we losing?
It's pretty much stagnant. So once rent relief kind of dropped down, we hit a certain amount, and it's kind of been there. We're seeing a slight uptick, a slight one, but it's slow. But it's a gradual, but it's kind of slow. And Ryan can speak to that better than myself. But just based on the numbers, it's a slow kind of uptick.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Any other questions? I just want to say also, I appreciate you sending the financial reports ahead of the meeting. So that way, so if we have any questions, we can get it all out before the meeting. So I really appreciate you sending those prior to the meeting, because it's a lot for us to digest, and it's good to, familiarize ourselves with it prior to the meeting. So thank you for that.
Just to add to that, this format, by the way, like lock it in, it is solid. Like, I understand this completely. I know Diego last month said something similar, but like, I would keep doing it exactly the same way. It's great.
Yes, thank you. Our next report will come from Director Laura.
Yes, so personnel, we have no report, but just to review what we discussed very briefly last month is, we adjusted my review back to June, so we've got a while, and then also we do our staff in June to by then we kind of know what the budget, like the Metro budget is going to be for pay plans, COLAs, merit increases, and then so we'll do our reviews in June for a July 1 start, and you'll be presented with those.
Cool. Event services, Ryan.
Good morning, everybody. I do want to begin by just giving a special shout out to our staff here. It has been the busiest 4 weeks we've had since February 9th. That's when our shutdown ended with the Red Cross shelter. We have not had a single open day in the building since. So that's meetings, private events, public-facing events. It has been busy for us, which has helped close some of that gap from that closure, as Therese noted, with our events budget. We've had strong events like our Nashville Card Show growing and having record attendance, new events like our boat show last weekend, and even our flea market in February, having a nice bounce back after the January closure, about 20% above average attendance. We do have the Cheer Expo coming back this weekend. That is a very good event for us as well. And our next open date in the building is March 23rd, so almost a full month and a half of full building utilization. Do have other big events coming back like our Panda Fest, Great Junk Hunt to close out the year. And it's looking like we'll maintain our budget through the end of the fiscal year. Any questions?
I did, actually reminded me to ask Therese a question about the impact of the closure with our finances, to the finances, but I will ask you the same question that I asked her about the flea market. Are you seeing post-rent relief where we, has there been a decrease, increase? I know I've seen commercials about the flea market, which has been great. But just looking at sort of closing the gap, and the numbers, and trying to figure out what we need to do. Your experience so far, have you seen like a decrease in the number of vendors, the number of foot traffic, that has been coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think really what we're experiencing now is kind of our new normal. A lot of our numbers have kind of bottomed out, and we've seen a very gradual increase, whereas for the past 10 years, even going further back, we've seen just kind of a gradual decrease, and of course, a pretty significant drop-off with COVID, and then rent relief more or less being an artificial inflation of what our true number is. So truly, I believe we are at our new normal now. We are building that back slowly. We're seeing our utilization come up very slowly and seeing a gradual increase. And of course, we've got busier months than others, but even February, for example, just with some good weather, some very good marketing, credit to our flea market team, we did see a good bounce back with our attendance. We are seeing pretty significant impacts from partnering with other events in Expo 3 as well. We are seeing some crossover with some of those events as well.
Yeah, because I did come to the flea market the last time, and I noticed that the flea market was on this side on Expo 2, and the black market was in Expo 3, and there was a lot of crossover, a lot of people going back and forth, which I thought was great, for that event. So I'm glad you said that you guys took that leap to also rent to other events when there's something else is going on. So going forward, like, I know at one point there was discussion about offering some sort of like multi-month deal to vendors or anything. There was some type of, there were discussions about offering incentives, to people. Are we with that, or did y'all drop that? Did you?
Yeah, we're still exploring some of that. We did offer a buy one, get one deal through the winter months just to kind of boost some of the booth rentals and really fill up the building through some of the slower months. We are currently reviewing our rules and just making sure we're up to date on all that. So something we're looking at as well is just incentivizing some of these longer term vendors.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, I'll just add to that. I was looking at the flea market, and Satrice really opened my eyes recently. She's like, it's actually the most, like, from a P&L standpoint, it's actually the most efficient event. It makes the most money per cap. So, like, in that way, it's good. And I think, you're kind of hitting on the overall volume, like, let's make it a bigger thing. And I think the strategy of, like, the partnering with other events makes, like, that's the way to solve that. So it almost is like, I'm really happy because it almost feels like we've solved the immediate needs of the flea market, and now it's just an opportunity for growth, which is good. So anyway, and overall, I mean, these events, like, this is like buoying the entire, so just keep killing it, man.
Yes, thank you, and all the staff for your hard work for this. So, and again, I also would like to say I appreciate the weekly updates as well. Yeah. So thank you very much for sending that. It's great to know, what's going on here, so that we can brag about you guys' work to people. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Next, your operations and executive director's report.
Yes, so operations, Todd mentioned one of our projects that we're working on is, now that we're getting into spring, getting our irrigation systems ready for spring and summer season. We're going to be repalletizing. We've done an initial inventory of the pavers that are sitting in lot 11. We've communicated with Market Street about that. We're going to be taking and repalletizing 2 pallets full for backstock, and then bringing them over for storage up at our multipurpose building. And then we've recently purchased some replacement internal and external metal panels. You'll see that, vehicles have crashed into them, or the scrubber or forklifts or whatever over these last 7 years. So we've got some of those panels that are going to be heading over here for replacement. So we'll get all of that cleaned up in the next few weeks. And then Over the winter months, we're working on painting. So Scott and David repainted all the exterior blocks of all the restrooms. And the next project, we're going to be taking the doors down and respraying those as well to freshen those up. So just some continue when we don't have stuff on our calendar, which you can see is getting less and less availability. We are doing projects like that and targeting just certain areas and get that squared away. So.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
All right, so at your table, so Ronnie and Scott are not here, as well as Jessica and Jamie. It is actually Fair Day on the Hill today. So they are downtown at the Hull building, Cordell Hall building. My understanding is that there are certain industry days that happen at the state legislation offices. Fairs were always kind of a very small subset of Ag Day on the Hill. And we were encouraged through our state association of Tennessee Association of Fairs of doing a separate fair day. And today is that day. So at your desk, what you'll see is the Tennessee Association of Fairs put together this economic impact Ferris wheel. So you'll see a whole bunch of facts about how much money or economic impact fairs bring to their local economies, as well as the state of Tennessee. Our goal with Fair Day at the Hill is to essentially lobby for support, lobby for potential grant funding. So you'll see later in the agenda, we're going to be asking you to approve an $83,000 grant that we received. That is part of this effort. And what we would like to see is the state increase their appropriation this year and double it. Last year it was 1.5 million and we got 83,000 of that. We would love for them to have a recurring $3 million appropriation available for fairs for capital investments similar to what this last grant was. So we're heading there. Ronnie is there as well, and I will bring a picture back because he is going to be Appy the Duck, and that is the mascot from the Appalachian Fair. So we have a whole bunch of representatives from fairs across Tennessee that are also going to be there in support of the TAF effort today on the Hill.
All right, well, I'll see you down there. So, yes.
I was just going to ask, Laura, for next year, I would totally go with you guys to that. So and assuming everybody's cool with that, like, I'm sure Jasper knows much more about the legislation than I do. He'd actually be useful. I would just like to attend as a spectator. But I think we could potentially lean in on that, I mean, I think that's a great opportunity to, put some heft behind our fair and how we can sort of push that ball forward.
Yep, it's absolutely very helpful to have more people down there. I'll be working, but all right. So next on the agenda, we're going to go back to approving the minutes before we get into old business and new business. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting as well as the February meeting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a quorum in February, so why do we have minutes? Should we have minutes?
Yeah.
You still have minutes?
Yeah.
We had discussion. It shows that we deferred things.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. So the minutes have been approved for November and February by the board. Oh, you have them. Okay. Cool. Next, we will move into old business. Our old business, we will. It's reviewing of the draft policy for naming rights and sponsorship, and the chair will entertain a motion to approve this new language that will be sent to the Metro Council.
This doesn't have to go to Metro Council. This is internal.
Oh, this is internal?
Yep.
Oh, okay, okay. So this is, so we will, the chair will entertain a motion to approve our internal, naming rights and sponsorship, language.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah. Well, Laura may be pointing this out. There's a blank in the document, so we need to discuss that. But Laura, go ahead.
Yes,
You
so
did it first.
there is a blank in the document, and it is, I left it, if you look on page 3 of 5, on section 9.0, there is a contract term, and I didn't know if the board wanted to put a cap on the number of years of a sponsorship, or would you rather leave it very flexible and we take it as each are presented, depending on what the proposal is? So that's one issue, and then we can talk about the second.
I personally would think that it would be, contract by contract, but I would love to hear what everybody else says.
I mean, my take is right with you, Jasper. I would like it to be as flexible as possible for Laura, so I would leave it, like I would almost like strike the sentence, you know, like just not even have that as a requirement. I mean, you're going to bring their materials, so you're going to bring them. So I don't even think you need that entire sentence. That's my take.
I'm in agreement. I mean, we've already talked about this, so leave it open-ended.
Okay.
Okay.
The second thing I just wanted to add is, we talked about this last month, in that if we were to go out and do a competitive solicitation, this policy states that we will follow the Metro procurement solicitation rules to do that. One thing I would like to add to this is a consideration for a proposal coming before the board that was no bid. Somebody coming to us and saying, hey, we see you, we like the fair, we would like to, sponsor the fair, we would like to sponsor the flea market. It wasn't necessarily generated from a competitive bid, but it is someone who has come to us for a proposal. So I would recommend that we add something in there that allows for that eventuality. I liken it to when soccer came. There was no competitive bid for a soccer team, but it was something that was brought to us that we then considered. So it's a similar type of situation. So I would like to add a term for no bid offers. And I'd like to work with Metro Legal to craft that term. So if we could maybe amend the motion to add a no bid offer, if you're comfortable with it, into this document.
Yeah, I think that's something that we can work on.
Sorry, I'm reading this section. It says, in 8.0, in section 8.
I'm thinking we could insert it between 8.2 and 8.3 so that we'll have a solicitation term, and we'll also have for lack of a better term, a no bid offer section that says, in this instance, here's how we'll do it, but if it comes to us in a different way, this is how we'll do it.
So in order to, I guess, move forward, since we had those two additions, I think we would need to amend the motion, maybe to accept those two items as amendments, but also give the executive director the authority to move forward without bringing it back to us, those with these two additions added to the amendment. Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll do that. First, I'm very supportive of that second change, and we should write a policy that gives Laura maximum flexibility. The only way this works is if you actually have flexibility to enter these. This does not work under Metro procurement rules. That's not how sponsorships work.
Right.
So realistically, that is a more likely scenario, just working in this area. So I'd like to amend my motion to say we would like to move to adopt this policy with the two changes. First, to include and incorporate a no bid solicitation mechanism within the contract that Laura will work out with Metro Legal as to the specific language, but we will agree to the general point. And second, to strike the second sentence of section 9.2, which reads, no agreement shall be for a term longer than -years. We'd strike that out, and that is my revised motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. So is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I will take a vote on the motion as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? There's no one. So this passes, so thank you. Our next item up for discussion is the consideration of draft agreements with Nashville Electric Service related to the solar array installation. So we have Laura and then Kendra from the mayor's office and Keith to present contract questions. Is present for contract questions. Sorry.
Thank you so much. So I have to say I've learned an awful lot about solar and renewable energy so far. I'll tee this up by saying that we're also working with Metro Legal. You'll remember Felinda Ramsey. She represented the board for a while. She has been participating on our group with both Kendra and Keith, as well as representatives from NES. Kendra can kind of go over the basics of, this whole relationship, but reason why it's kind of taking a little bit longer than anticipated is this is the first agreement of this type between NES and Metro. There's not been a project like this, so we are the guinea pigs again, and so we're all learning along the way. So I would love to turn it over to Kendra, and thank you. Kendra and Keith have been just amazing educators throughout this process and advocating for both the Fair Board and for Metro as a whole with this project.
Thank you, Laura. Great to be with you this morning, commissioners. As Laura mentioned, my name is Kendra Apkowitz. I work in the mayor's office on operational issues with a focus on infrastructure. And I think what I wanted to share with you today is a little bit of context as to why we're approaching this project, the benefits for Fairgrounds, and then a little bit more about some of the decision points that you would be authorizing Laura to work with us to finalize if you do provide her authorization to close out contract negotiations. In 2019, then Council Member Freddie O'Connell actually passed a suite of legislation that really focused on reducing environmental impacts and increasing sustainability within Metro general government. One of those items included in that suite of legislation was a renewable portfolio standard. And what a renewable portfolio standard does is it sort of sets requirements and milestones, thresholds, for the amount of electricity that is generated or procured from renewable sources. And so what that renewable portfolio standard did was it put in place a requirement for Metro general government to procure or generate 100% of its electricity from renewable sources by 2041. And then it put in place sort of a stair-stepping glide path of how you would get there from when the legislation was enacted through 2041. And so since passage of that legislation, we've been working really hard to try to increase the amount of solar on Metro properties, and then also look at other mechanisms for meeting that renewable portfolio standard. And that looks like a couple of different things, right? One is actually putting solar on Metro properties, which is what we'll be talking about today. To date, we have 20 installations already on Metro properties. That spans a variety of different real estate portfolios, including Parks and Conservation, General Services, Parks and Recreation, General Services, our schools, and Metro Water Services as well. So we have over 20 installations today. And it also looks like partnering with Nashville Electric Service to look at how they can use their local authorities as a local power company to pursue renewable energy, and then also working closely with the Tennessee Valley Authority, who, as you all know, generates the electricity for our entire Middle Tennessee region, but really also most of the state of Tennessee and surrounding counties. Over the last 3 years, we've seen about $10 million in capital spending dedicated to solar installations. So again, I think that really emphasizes how seriously the past two administrations, and particularly this current administration of Mayor Freddie O'Connell, have been about pursuing renewable energy. When we look at the benefits that actually provides us, and really the rationale for that renewable portfolio standard, is a couple of different things. One, it reduces our environmental impacts, right? So when you're producing electricity from non-fossil resources, that results in air quality benefits and quality of life for our residents. It can also generate financial benefits as well. So if you're generating that power on site, that's less power that you're going to have to pay somebody to generate and send over to you. And then it also can have resiliency benefits. Back in 2021, shortly after I started in my role, we actually partnered with a consultant to essentially help us develop a plan and a little bit of an inventory as to how we could go about meeting our renewable portfolio standard. What would the benefits be? What metro sites are actually really well suited for pursuing solar? And again, what would be the relative costs and benefits in each of those scenarios? We looked at a couple of different ownership options. One would be a capital purchase option, which we're actually talking about today, where Metro upfronts and sets aside capital dollars to fund the cost of solar. One would be a lease scenario, essentially where we're leasing back portions of a property for the installation of solar. And then we looked at two different sizing options. One that's called behind the meter, and behind the meter essentially says we're only going to generate enough power that we can consistently consume in our building. And then the other, which is really well suited for large properties that have less consistent electricity consumption, or that don't have any nearby electricity consumption, is something called a flexibility sizing. And that's actually what we're talking about here with the Fairgrounds. The flexibility program is something that's relatively new. It's a program that's been established by TVA, and then is Nashville Electric Service is authorized to actually deploy that here at the local level. And so to Laura's point, this is our first of its kind agreement with Nashville Electric Service. Under the flexibility program, we would actually be maxing out the amount of solar we can install on the rooftops of both of the expo buildings and the shed. And then we would be selling that electricity back to Nashville Electric Service. So that would come with revenue to the Fairgrounds, and I think can provide another great opportunity to look at the financial sustainability and stewardship of Fairgrounds. In terms of overall cost of this project, about $2 million has already been authorized in capital spending plan dollars. So we actually already have the capital available, and Laura's authorized to spend that today. We have been holding off on issuing notice to proceed on this project until we can finalize contract negotiations with NES. We are confident that the project will be profitable and a good one to pursue, but again, it doesn't feel right to actually start construction until we know the power or the purchase price that NES would be purchasing that power for. So there are two remaining elements that we'd be negotiating. One would be actually the rate that we are paid for that power that's generated, and then the second is the disposition of the renewable energy credits. So what we're looking at there is obviously trying to keep those, right? Those renewable energy credits are the documentation that we use to say that we are complying with our renewable portfolio standard. However, based on both accounting practice as well as sort of NES and TVA preference from a policy perspective, there may be an opportunity for us to sell those back to them and generate additional revenue. So we've got a couple of really interesting decision points on the table, but putting the renewable energy credits aside, we still anticipate this project to be profitable and to result in net positive cash flow on an annual basis for Fairgrounds. I'll pause there and see if there are any additional questions, and also invite Keith to jump in if I got anything wrong. We're really lucky to have Keith here. He is absolutely an expert across the nation, but specifically the Tennessee Valley for negotiating these projects.
Yes, Commissioner Harlan.
Kendra, great overview. Who is responsible for, I'm assuming it's within Metro, so we're going to put solar panels on the roof in like 15 years, they need to be refurbished. Is that going to come out of the answer could be, I don't know, but is it going to come out of our capital allocation, our capital budget here, or is it going to come out of Metro's general capital budget?
So the way we've set this up is there are expenses to actually having this installation on an annual basis. Obviously, there's the upfront cost of the install, and then we have existing contracts that Fairgrounds and Laura will be able to leverage for operations and maintenance as well as insurance. And so that would come out of Fairgrounds budget. But again, when you look at cash flow, we still feel it's still going to be a net positive every year. So the value of electricity generated will be more significant than the cost of operating.
And I should have mentioned, by the way, I'm 100% supportive of this. So top line, we should do this. So I don't have any other questions.
And I'll also share that typically lifespan of solar installations is anywhere between 20 and 30 years, typically more like the 25 to 30 year mark. And so at the end of that 30 years, there would be a decision that Fairgrounds would need to make about whether or not how much remaining useful life there is on the installation, and whether or not they want to reinstall and upgrade.
So, my question would be, how much of this project is reliant on the federal solar investment tax credit?
So the way we actually budgeted for the project is we budgeted for the full cost of the solar installation. So again, that was about $2 million. You bring up a really great point, and I didn't mention this in my opening remarks. There actually is an investment tax credit of up to 30% that we do plan to take advantage of. That dollar amount relative to the entire cost of the project is about $600,000. We are coming up against a deadline, which is why sort of the timing of this is so critical, in that if we do not start and make significant progress on the construction of this project or encumber significant amounts of funds, we will no longer be able to take advantage of that tax credit. So what that means is we have sufficient funding up front to cover the entire cost without any ITC benefits. However, if we execute this project swiftly, that's an additional revenue source that Fairgrounds would be able to achieve.
Thank you, because that's what I was going to get to. So thank you.
Yeah.
The deadline is coming, right?
And we've emphasized this with Nashville Electric Service, so
Okay.
they're aware that
All right,
timing
cool.
is of
Thank
the
you.
essence.
Thank you, Commissioner Owen.
Who's all involved in the negotiations?
Currently, we have representation from Metro's Law Department. We've also got contract counsel here with Keith, so special expertise with negotiating renewable contracts with TVA. Laura is involved, myself is involved. We have, at different points in time, actually brought in our contract vendor, who's actually going to be responsible for constructing the solar installation. And then we've been working directly with legal counsel at NES, as well as their engineering services group.
So the project is ready. Like, so you guys have done
It is
the
ready. We
RFP
actually,
process.
we
to get the vendor.
utilized an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract. We have 3 vendors on that for solar capital installation. We issued bids probably about a year ago at this point, and moved through that process and selected the one bidder on that project, Lightwave Solar. So they're ready to go. They have a PO issued, but we have not given them notice to proceed until we negotiate the contract.
cool. Thank you. Any other questions?
Nope, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess our, what we would need to do is to take a vote to, or I guess I would entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to complete this project. So to complete work on the agreement and giving her the authority to sign the agreement once it's been finalized through Metro Legal and all the proper channels.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
I mean, the one point I was going to raise is, so we're giving you the authority to do it, and Kendra just laid out, and I know you're doing the negotiations, you know this, that it, and I mean, I'm reading in the margin comments that this works. I mean, we're still talking about the price terms, so obviously this is not a done deal, but I'm understanding from reading this that based on our positions, that all of our potential positions, it's still a good deal to make. If you get through it and you're like, this is not a good deal anymore, we shouldn't do it, right? So if you can't get it there, you shouldn't do it. And so for me, when I'm saying we give you the authority to do the deal, I'm saying we're giving you the authority to do the deal if it becomes a positive deal. You know, if we can't get NES to move, like, they're just gonna miss out, so.
And I will mention this does go to council. So we still have one more vote through, three more votes through Metro Council once you guys authorize this.
Well, whatever goes to council, they'll have some authority, but we have some authority, and our authority is limiting to you to do the deal if it's a good deal, right? And then they'll give you some level of specificity as well.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I guess we'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. So it passes unanimously. I don't know why I keep looking over to my right, like there he goes over there. But it's a reflex. But so thank you, Kendra, for the presentation. And next, we would need an authorization to accept a grant from the Tennessee Association of Fairs. They'll be used for capital purchases to support the Nashville Fair. And do we have a motion?
So move to accept this next item.
All right. Do we have a second?
Coming shortly. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I think Laura, she explained it earlier. This is part of the grant that was received from the Tennessee Association of Fairs. Our portion for hosting a regional fair will be $83,333. This will go, and so this money will be used for the upcoming Nashville Fair that will be held in the fall for their expenses that they have. Yes, for capital expenses for the fair. Any other discussion? Hearing none, so we call for the vote. All in favor of accepting $83,333.33, please say aye.
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 And aye. So that passes unanimously also. Is there any other business that needs to come before the body? We've completed our agenda items.
I would just like to put on the record, congratulations to Nolan Smith and the Tennessee State University men's basketball team for making it to the March Madness NCAA tournament for the first time in 32 years. So congratulations to the Big Blue.
Any other announcements? All right, hearing none, I guess we will entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
So moved.
So moved. Back to spring break.
All right.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.